Hi, in this episode of Redneck 101, I'm explaining how I got 2 million views on my fishing videos without a GoPro. I started the channel back in 2015 with an inexpensive camcorder because that's what I had. At first I made a number of action fishing and fishing method videos with the camcorder handheld or on a tripod, and these drew a limited viewership.
Another look in the good book. Don't let it pass you by. Let the Holy Spirit talk. Walk through the written word of Jesus. Then you'll love Jesus. La 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 la.
Most of my early viewership was built on fish cleaning videos, how-to videos, how to clean a fish by putting the camera on a tripod. My focus was on simple and quick methods rather than getting the most meat. I began to posting links to specific YouTube videos to various fishing forums, and viewership steadily increased, so by the end of 2016 I had 44,000 views. That year I also began to make several simple fish cooking videos that showed moderate success. My fishing method videos were also growing since I usually gave very specific location information, and anglers in these specific fisheries really appreciated the location information. My fish cleaning videos continue to grow, sometimes due to novelty of the method, for example, filleting catfish before skinning them, and sometimes due to showing how to fillet fish that are scorned by elitists but often enjoyed by more common folk like gaff-top catfish and bull black drum. The YouTube channel grew to 82,000 views in 2017. I tried a number of different kinds of videos that also failed to garner significant viewership, so I gravitated back to fishing videos that were more the core of my viewership, and I became more intentional to include more spiritual content, like reminding people to pray when they go fishing. I also like to mention the importance of man's place in creation. In addition to fish cleaning videos for a number of new species, I also made a short series of videos on a pneumatic bait launcher, like a potato cannon to launch your bait out into the Gulf of Mexico, and these became very popular. In the summer of 2018, I asked a church prayer meeting to pray that the Lord would give me wisdom for this growing video ministry. A lady at the meeting suggested I start making videos on how to bait a hook. This video series became very popular, by far my most popular fishing method videos, and they're relatively simple to make. I also began making second versions of my most popular fish cleaning videos. I learned that the second version didn't rob viewership from the first version, but it gave my channel a bigger piece of the YouTube pie for how to clean that specific species. Viewership grew to 121,000 views in 2018. At the start of 2019, I'd only made one freshwater fishing video, since most of my fishing was in saltwater over that span. I began making freshwater videos in earnest. It was my usual mix. The freshwater videos were my usual mix of fish cleaning, fishing method, and a few cooking videos. I added a new genre of reviewing fishing products also. I focused the product reviews on equipment that I'd had for many years, discussing quality and value rather than on stuff I just bought and only used once or twice. Eventually I started reviewing newer stuff, but I call these videos first takes rather than reviews. My freshwater fish cleaning videos became popular with a nationwide audience, and my method videos became very popular with the anglers in the same local fishery. I also added a small number of hunting videos that did well. My 2019 viewership grew to 138,000 on YouTube. Most of the footage was still on the old JVC camcorder that I had bought in 2010 or so, but my wife had given me a Coolpix B500 still camera to replace an older digital camera, and I began occasionally using its video capabilities like a second camcorder. Over the summer in 2019, the leadership of our local church confirmed my calling to fishing ministry. In addition to the video ministry, I would start taking people fishing for free to encourage them toward Jesus. I brought the camera along, but used it mainly for still pictures with the occasional handheld video. By early fall 2019, I was occasionally bringing a tripod in the boat and attempting to get more action footage. But the wave action often threatened to knock over the tripod, and the camera was barely saved a few times. Handheld was needed most of the time to protect that investment in the camera. That winter, I adapted the tripod upper post and head by adding soft material underneath duct tape so that the camera could easily and securely fit in most of the abundant rod holders on my boat. Finally, I had a solution for action footage with minimal risk to the camera. Some tweaks to the mounting were needed for vibration isolation. I also began to experiment with different mounting locations for better camera angles. I learned that it was tough for a single mounted camera to capture the action both of the angler's excitement and key moments in reeling in the fish and in netting the fish and catching the fish's action in the water. Another challenge was turning on the camera and starting to record once a fish bit. I could mount both the camcorder and the Coolpix securely in rod holders on tripod heads, but I often couldn't move around the boat and get them both turned on quickly once we had a fish on. So rather than focus on action, I continued to focus on product reviews and fishing method videos in 2020. After a trip, I put the camera on a tripod in the parking lot with the fish hung behind me on the side of the boat. I'd be real specific about the lures, locations, and depths, even adding maps on the screen to show the exact location during editing. The lack of action footage did not seem to hurt my viewership, as COVID had resulted in a flood of inexperienced anglers looking for specific and productive fishing information, and my videos provided that. By July 2020, my YouTube viewership had grown to 30,000 views that month. Another key in the growth in 2020 was beginning to promote my YouTube videos in Facebook fishing forums earlier that year. But Facebook started to censor YouTube links as spam with more than a few posts in a given day. So I had to limit my sharing in these groups. I wasn't sure how to proceed until a fishing guest suggested I post and share native Facebook videos in Facebook groups rather than YouTube videos. My guest explained that Facebook would show Facebook videos to many more viewers than it would show YouTube videos. Facebook also had a much higher tolerance for sharing native Facebook videos without classifying them as spam. I was slow to heed his advice because the YouTube search engine selects content based on views and likes, and I knew my YouTube views would take a disproportionate hit if I stopped promoting them on Facebook. But as Facebook ratcheted down the number of YouTube links they allowed, I was painted into a corner in late 2020. I could file an antitrust lawsuit, or I could capitulate and start using Facebook as a second video platform and the main one I'd use to promote my videos in Facebook fishing groups. I shared my first native Facebook fishing video in early October 2020, and for the first time I broke 10,000 views in a single day. I usually only post videos to most fishing groups once a week or so as to not to use up all my content and not to wear out my welcome. but I had 80,000 views that month, which was a new high. Carrying forward this approach brought my total views for 2020 to over 400,000. In late 2020, I met with the elders of my local church for prayer and counsel about how to move my fishing ministry forward in 2021. They were as excited as I was about potentially reaching an internet audience of over 1 million viewers per year and encouraging people to faith and prayer in Jesus. We agreed that I should scale back the in-person fishing trips from 70 to 50 and make use of the additional time and resources to focus on the goal of 1 million annual views. Other off-season details that were prayerfully planned was getting an electric Bubba Blade electric knife to make electric knife versions of the fish cleaning videos, and getting a hat-mounted lid cam to provide a good camera angle that could be turned on quickly for improved action footage. The electric knife fish cleaning videos are doing very well, as is my ongoing series on baiting the hook. Improved action footage allows me to make highlight reel videos for my fishing guests, and these serve double duty as regular fishing reports in the local fishery. Good action footage is also useful in product reviews and fishing method videos. The lid cam was less than $150, and with a little practice, it does a great job capturing the action of whatever I'm looking at. Each week, I promote one saltwater video and one freshwater fishing video in about 70 different Facebook fishing groups. I do the saltwater videos usually on Thursday and the fresh ones usually on Friday, as people start thinking about fishing as the weekend approaches. My goal is about 20,000 views each week, as 20,000 times 50 is equal to 1 million. But these goals are exceeded many weeks, and together with my ongoing YouTube and BitChute channels, I broke 1 million views for 2021 in early July and 2 million lifetime views shortly thereafter. At some point, I learned that the Coolpix has a slightly wider angle than the JVC camcorder, so it is my preferred choice for action shots from the boat-mounted camera. If there's time, I turn both it on and my hat-mounted lid cam to capture action when a fish hits. At a decade old now, the JVC is showing its age and will often stop recording if it gets bumped or jostled. I use it mainly for fish cleaning videos and other stuff where it can be mounted securely on land in a tripod, but the fact is, it's the JVC that's taking this video now. I'm planning to replace the JVC camcorder with a GoPro Hero 9 later this year. The feature I want most in the GoPro is recording in loop mode as the boat-mounted camera. That way I get the action that I often miss when there's not time to turn on the boat-mounted camera. I also plan to use it mainly in many of the tripod-mounted functions I am currently using the JVC for now. After a decade of service, the JVC is clearly showing some wear. But God willing, I hope to get a decade of service from the GoPro rather than upgrading every year or two. With God's help, maybe in a couple years, I'll be explaining how the GoPro helped me get to 10 million views. Of the 3 cameras I have now, the old JVC accounts for about 1.5 million of my lifetime views, the Coolpix for about 400,000, and the lid cam for about 100,000. Of course, with all that footage and over 300 videos in the can so far, those numbers will continue to grow even after a specific camera gets retired. A number of guys asked why I didn't monetize when I hit 1,000 subscribers last summer on my YouTube channel. My view was that Jesus was already my sponsor, and I didn't want to interrupt my videos with extra commercials for a few extra dollars. Had I monetized, I probably would not have diverted the viewership to the Facebook versions of my videos, since that would have cost me money. And Facebook requires a whole lot more views than YouTube when it comes to their monetization policies. Consequently, had I monetized, it'd probably still be hovering around 200,000 annual views with the post-COVID decline in YouTube fishing viewership instead of almost 2 million annual views by diversifying to YouTube, Facebook, and BitChute. Near the end of 2021, I plan on meeting with the church eldership as we prayerfully consider my plans for 2022. I'm beginning to consider backing off the push for ever-increasing viewership in favor of longer average views, so more of the important spiritual content throughout the videos gets heard. I'm also hoping for some guidance on balancing the fishing video ministry with an educational channel, an educational physics-based ministry that I'm starting, and some other Christian discipleship and mentoring ideas. Sure, I expect I'll have the GoPro, but it should do a good job as a webcam and also as a mounted camcorder type role for whatever ministry opportunities the Lord directs me to. Be sure to pray and ask Jesus for wisdom and success in whatever you are fishing for. I'm really fishing for men, but if you've watched the video this far, you've probably already figured that out.
Written in the Word, in the good, good Word, is a message from our God, gonna tell you all about how to get to the kingdom, the good life. Written in the Word, in the good, good Word, is a message from our God, gonna tell you all about how to get to the kingdom, the good life. Oh, I love Jesus. La 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 la.